I stood in the bridal suite bathroom, staring at the crimson stains spreading across the white silk like a blooming rose, while my sister screamed my name from downstairs. The wedding march had started 3 minutes ago, and I was supposed to be walking down the aisle as maid of honor, not hiding in a bathroom with evidence of something I couldn't even begin to explain. But the blood wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the pregnancy test in my trembling hands showing 2 pink lines, and the text message on my phone that had arrived exactly 60 seconds ago. I know what you did last night. Tell her before I do. A friend. MIA. Cassie's voice carried up the marble staircase like a siren. The processional started. Hannah's having a panic attack. I shoved the pregnancy test into my clutch next to the phone that kept buzzing with anonymous threats, grabbed a handful of tissues, and tried to scrub the blood from my dress. It was no use. The stain had already set, dark and damning against the expensive fabric. 3 months pregnant, with my best friend's fiancé's baby, on the day of their wedding, while someone who called themselves a friend was threatening to expose everything. Could this day get any worse? My reflection in the mirror looked like a woman on the edge of a complete breakdown. Dark circles under my green eyes, skin pale as the dress I was ruining, auburn hair that had taken 3 hours to style now falling in chaotic waves around my shoulders. I looked exactly like what I was, a woman carrying secrets that could destroy everything. The blood was from this morning. I'd woken up in Jake's apartment again after telling myself it would never happen again. We'd spent the night talking about everything except the obvious, that he was getting married in 8 hours to someone who wasn't me, and that our final goodbye 3 months ago had resulted in the kind of consequence that doesn't go away. He'd been making coffee when I tried to sneak out. I'd been rushing, panicking, desperate to get home before anyone noticed I'd been gone overnight. I'd knocked over his coffee mug, and when I'd tried to clean it up, I'd cut my hand on a piece of the broken ceramic. Jake had insisted on bandaging it, his fingers gentle as he wrapped medical tape around my palm. "Mia," he'd said, his voice soft and broken. "We can't keep doing this." "I know," I'd whispered back, even though I didn't know anything anymore except that I loved him and he was marrying my best friend in a few hours. After today, it has to be over. Really over. I know. But we both knew it was a lie. It had been over a dozen times in the past 3 months. And yet here we were, still finding ways to hurt each other and everyone around us. Now I was standing in my sister's bathroom, bleeding on my bridesmaid dress while carrying Jake's child, and wondering who the hell knew enough to threaten me. "Maya Elena Rodriguez." Cassie's voice had reached nuclear levels. "I swear to God, if you don't get down here." "Coming," I called back, grabbing my bouquet of white peonies and baby's breath. The irony of baby's breath wasn't lost on me. I burst out of the bathroom and nearly collided with my cousin Danny, who was adjusting his tie and looking like he'd rather be anywhere else on earth. "Jesus, Mia, you look like you've seen a ghost," he said, then took in my appearance more carefully. "A bloody ghost. What happened to your dress?" "Coffee," I lied automatically. "Nervous stomach." Danny squinted at the stain. "That's not coffee." "It's coffee," I insisted, pushing past him toward the staircase. "Mia," Danny caught my arm, his expression serious for once. At 25, my cousin was usually the comic relief at family gatherings, but right now he looked genuinely concerned. "Are you okay? You've been acting strange for weeks." Strange. If only he knew how strange things were about to get. "I'm fine," I said, the lie coming easier each time. "Just wedding nerves." Wedding nerves for someone else's wedding? Before I could answer, Cassie appeared at the bottom of the stairs in full wedding coordinator mode. My sister was 32, impeccably dressed, and had enough organizational skills to run a small country. She was also currently looking at me like I was a problem that needed solving immediately. "There you are," she said, her voice tight with barely controlled panic. "Hannah's been asking for you. She's convinced something terrible is going to happen." Something terrible already happened, I thought. 3 months ago in Jake's apartment, when we decided one night together was worth risking everything. "I'm here," I said, rushing down the stairs. "Where is she?" "Bridal suite. And Mia?" Cassie grabbed my elbow as I passed. "Whatever's going on with you today, fix it. This is Hannah's day, and she deserves perfection." "Hannah deserves the truth," my conscience whispered. "Hannah deserves to know that her maid of honor is pregnant with her fiancé's baby." But my mouth said, "Of course. Absolutely." The bridal suite was chaos disguised as elegance. Hannah's bridesmaids, 7 women I'd known since college, were fussing with flowers and checking makeup and chattering nervously about everything except the obvious tension in the room. Hannah herself sat in front of a vanity mirror, still in her robe, while her mother attempted to calm her down in rapid-fire Spanish. "Mia!" Hannah's face lit up when she saw me, and the relief in her voice made my stomach lurch with guilt. "Thank God, I thought something had happened to you." "Something did happen to me. I fell in love with your fiancé, and now I'm carrying his child, and someone knows and is threatening to tell you, and I have no idea how to fix any of this." "Just last-minute emergency," I said, forcing a smile. "You know how it is." Hannah studied my face in the mirror. We'd been best friends since 2nd grade, when she'd shared her animal crackers with me on my first day at a new school. 20 years of friendship meant she could read me like a book. And right now that book was titled How to Ruin Your Best Friend's Wedding Day. "You look pale," she said. "Are you feeling okay?" "Fine," I lied. "Just excited for you." Hannah turned in her chair to face me directly. "Mia, is there something you want to tell me?" The question hung in the air like a loaded gun. This was it. This was my chance to come clean, to tell her everything before she walked down that aisle and married a man who'd been cheating on her for months. My phone buzzed in my clutch. Another message. 1 hour, Mia. 1 hour, and then everyone knows, starting with the bride. I stared at the text, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. "Mia?" Hannah's voice was concerned now. "You're scaring me. What's wrong?" "Nothing," I managed. "Nothing's wrong. Let's get you into your dress." The next 30 minutes passed in a blur of silk and lace and lies. Hannah's wedding dress was a vintage 1920s number that had belonged to her grandmother, beaded and elegant and absolutely stunning. She looked like a movie star from old Hollywood, all graceful lines and timeless beauty. "You're going to take Jake's breath away," I told her, and meant it. Even knowing what I knew, even carrying the secret I was carrying, I couldn't deny that Hannah looked radiant. "Do you think he's nervous?" she asked, smoothing the silk over her hips. "He should be," I thought. "He should be terrified." "All grooms are nervous," I said instead. "It's normal." "He's been acting strange lately," Hannah continued, adjusting her veil. "Distant, like his mind is somewhere else." "His mind is on me," I realized with a sick certainty. "He's thinking about me on his wedding day." "Pre-wedding jitters," I said weakly. "Maybe?" Hannah didn't sound convinced. "Or maybe he's having second thoughts." The words hit me like a physical blow. What if Jake was having second thoughts? What if he was planning to call off the wedding? What if my anonymous texter knew something I didn't? My phone buzzed again. This time it was a photo message. I opened it and felt the world tilt sideways. It was a picture of Jake and me from this morning, taken through his apartment window. We were in his kitchen, and he was bandaging my hand while I stood there in yesterday's clothes, looking guilty as sin. The timestamp showed 7:23 a.m., 3 hours ago. Someone had been watching us. Someone had been outside Jake's apartment with a camera, documenting our final goodbye. A new message followed immediately. "Beautiful morning, wasn't it? Hannah should see this, don't you think?" I was going to be sick. Right here in the bridal suite, surrounded by bridesmaids and flowers and wedding dress. I was going to vomit all over everything. "Mia?" Hannah was watching me in the mirror again. "You just went completely white. Are you sure you're okay?" "Bathroom," I managed, rushing toward the ensuite before anyone could stop me. I barely made it to the toilet before my body decided to reject everything I'd eaten in the past 24 hours. Morning sickness, stress, panic, terror. It all came up in violent waves, while I tried to muffle the sounds with a handful of tissues. When it was over, I sat on the cold marble floor and tried to think. Someone knew about Jake and me. Someone had been watching us, photographing us, building a case against us. But who? And why wait until today to threaten exposure? My phone buzzed with a call. Jake's name on the screen made my heart rate spike. "Hello?" I whispered. "Mia, thank God." Jake's voice was strained, panicked. "Did you get the messages?" "What messages?" "Someone's been texting me. Photos of us together, threats to tell Hannah. They want money, Mia. $50,000 or they expose everything at the ceremony." Blackmail. This wasn't just about revenge or moral outrage. Someone was trying to extort us. "Who is it?" I asked. "I don't know. But they know everything. About Big Sir, about the nights I've stayed over, about this morning." Jake's voice dropped. "Mia, they know you're pregnant. If you are enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means a lot to us. We are just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video." The bathroom door rattled. "Mia," Hannah's voice. "Are you okay in there?" "Fine," I called back. "Just fixing my makeup." "How do they know about the pregnancy?" I whispered into the phone. "I don't know. But the latest message came with a photo of you throwing up just now. They're here, Mia. Whoever this is, they're at the wedding." My blood turned to ice. Someone at this wedding, someone I probably knew, someone Hannah trusted enough to invite, was watching my every move and planning to destroy us. "What do we do?" I asked. "I don't know. I can't get $50,000 in the next 30 minutes. And even if I could..." "You'd pay it?" "To protect you? To protect Hannah? In a heartbeat." The sincerity in his voice broke something inside me. Even now, even facing exposure and scandal and the complete destruction of his life, Jake was trying to protect both of us. "There has to be another way," I said. "Mia." Jake's voice was soft, defeated. "Maybe it's time to tell her. Maybe we should..." "5 minutes!" Cassie's voice boomed from the other side of the door. "Processional in 5 minutes." "I have to go," I whispered. "Mia, wait." I hung up and stared at myself in the bathroom mirror. My reflection looked like a stranger, someone hollowed out by secrets and fear. In 5 minutes, I would walk down the aisle as Hannah's maid of honor while carrying Jake's child and knowing that somewhere in that crowd of wedding guests, someone was waiting to destroy us all. When I emerged from the bathroom, the bridal suite had transformed into organized chaos. Bridesmaids were lining up in order of height, checking bouquets, making final adjustments to hair and makeup. Hannah stood in the center of it all, looking like an angel in her grandmother's dress. "There you are," she said, relief obvious in her voice. "I was starting to worry you'd escape through the bathroom window." I should have, I thought. I should have climbed out that window and run as far away from here as possible. "Never," I said, forcing a smile. "Wouldn't miss your big day for anything." Hannah studied my face. "You still look pale. Are you sure you're not coming down with something?" "Just emotional," I lied. "You know how weddings make me cry." "Save some tears for the ceremony," Hannah laughed, then leaned closer. "Mia, I need to tell you something." My heart stopped. Did she know? Had our mysterious blackmailer already contacted her? "What?" "Thank you," Hannah said simply, "for everything, for helping me plan this, for being here, for being you. I know I've been a nightmare to deal with these past few months, but having you by my side made everything better." The words hit me like physical blows. Hannah was thanking me. Hannah was grateful. Hannah had no idea that her maid of honor had been sleeping with her fiancé and was currently pregnant with his child. "Hannah," I started. "Ladies," Cassie appeared with military precision. "Showtime. Let's move." The processional lineup was a blur of nervous energy and last-minute adjustments. I found myself fourth in line, behind Hannah's sister Maria, and 2 college friends whose names I kept forgetting. The wedding march began, floating up from the backyard where 200 guests waited to witness what they thought would be the happiest day of Hannah's life. Through the window, I could see the ceremony set up, white chairs arranged in perfect rows, an archway of roses and baby's breath. That damn baby's breath again. Fairy lights strung between the oak trees despite the fact that it was 3 in the afternoon. Cassie had outdone herself, creating a Pinterest-perfect celebration. The guests were a mix of Hannah's family from Portland, Jake's colleagues from his architecture firm, college friends, and distant relatives who'd traveled from across the country. Somewhere in that crowd of smiling faces was someone who knew my secret and was planning to use it against me. "Go, go, go," Cassie whispered, and the first bridesmaid began her walk down the aisle, then the second, then the third. Then it was my turn. I stepped onto the white runner that stretched from the back of the house to the altar, my bouquet clutched in hands that wouldn't stop shaking. 200 faces turned toward me, all smiling, all expectant, all blissfully unaware that the maid of honor was about to have a complete breakdown. Jake stood at the altar in his charcoal gray suit, looking every inch the perfect groom. His dark hair was perfectly styled. His smile was bright and confident. And if I didn't know better, I'd think he was the happiest man alive. But I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his hands were clasped too tightly behind his back. Our eyes met halfway down the aisle, and for a moment the rest of the world disappeared. It was just us, just this moment, just the memory of every stolen kiss and whispered promise and broken vow that had led us here. Then I remembered where I was and forced myself to look away. I took my place at the altar and turned to watch Hannah make her entrance. The wedding march swelled, the guests rose to their feet, and there she was, my best friend, radiant and beautiful and trusting, walking toward a future built on lies. If you are enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means a lot to us. We are just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video. Hannah's father, a distinguished man in his 60s, who'd always treated me like a second daughter, beamed with pride as he escorted his daughter down the aisle. Hannah herself looked like she was floating, her face glowing with happiness as she approached the man she thought loved only her. When she reached the altar, Jake stepped forward to take her hand. "You look beautiful," he whispered, loud enough for the front row to hear. "You don't look so bad yourself," Hannah whispered back, and the guests chuckled appreciatively. Reverend Martinez, a family friend who'd known Hannah since childhood, began the ceremony with the traditional words about love and commitment and the sacred bond of marriage. I stood there holding my bouquet and tried not to think about the fact that every word was a lie. "Dearly beloved," Reverend Martinez intoned, "we are gathered here today to witness the union of Hannah Rose Delacroix and Jacob Samuel Parker in holy matrimony." Holy matrimony. The irony was almost too much to bear. My phone buzzed in my clutch. I couldn't check it without being obvious, but I could feel the vibration against my leg like a countdown timer. Whoever was blackmailing us was still out there, still watching, still waiting for the perfect moment to strike. "Marriage is not to be entered into lightly," Reverend Martinez continued, "but thoughtfully, with full knowledge of the vows you are making and the life you are choosing to build together." Full knowledge. Hannah had no knowledge. Hannah was standing there in her grandmother's dress, promising to love and honor a man who'd been cheating on her for months. I scanned the crowd, looking for anything suspicious. Was it the photographer, crouched near the front row with his massive camera? Was it one of Jake's college friends, clustered together on the groom's side? Was it someone from Hannah's office, smiling benignly from the middle section? "If anyone here knows of any reason why these two should not be married," Reverend Martinez said, "speak now or forever hold your peace." The traditional pause followed. 5 seconds of silence that felt like an eternity. This was it. This was my moment. I could speak up right now, tell everyone the truth, save Hannah from marrying a man who didn't deserve her. But my mouth stayed closed. My feet stayed planted. My voice stayed silent. The moment passed. Hannah and Jake have written their own vows, Reverend Martinez announced. Hannah, would you like to go first? Hannah nodded and turned to face Jake, her hands clasped in his. Jake, she began, her voice clear and strong. 3 years ago, you walked into my life and changed everything. You made me believe in love songs and fairy tales and happily ever after. Each word was a knife in my chest. You've seen me at my worst, stressed about work, crying over bad movies, wearing sweatpants for 3 days straight. And somehow, you still think I'm beautiful. He doesn't, I wanted to scream. He thinks I'm beautiful. He tells me I'm beautiful when we're alone in his apartment at 2 a.m. You make me laugh when I want to cry. You hold me when I'm scared. You believe in my dreams even when I don't believe in them myself. Hannah's voice was getting emotional now. You're my best friend, my partner, my home. I'm his best friend, I realized with sick certainty. I'm the one he calls when he can't sleep. I'm the one he tells his fears to. I promise to love you in good times and bad, in sickness and health, in success and failure. I promise to choose you every day for the rest of my life. I promise to be worthy of the love you've given me. Hannah was crying now, happy tears that sparkled in the afternoon sunlight. The guests were crying too, her mother, his mother, random relatives who barely knew them but were caught up in the emotion of the moment. I was crying for different reasons entirely. Jake, Reverend Martinez prompted. Jake cleared his throat and looked deep into Hannah's eyes. Hannah, he began, and his voice was steady, confident, convincing. You are the kindest, most generous, most beautiful person I've ever known. Liar, my heart screamed. You told me I was beautiful just this morning. You make me want to be a better man. You challenge me to grow, to dream bigger, to love deeper. Jake's smile was perfect, practiced. When I'm with you, I feel like I can take on the world. When you're with me, you feel like you're drowning, I thought. You've told me that a dozen times. I promise to put you first, always. I promise to be faithful, honest, and true. I promise to build a life with you that's filled with adventure and laughter and love. Faithful. The word hung in the air like an accusation. I promise to be the husband you deserve, the partner you can count on, the man who will love you until my last breath. The lies came so easily. Jake was good at this, good at saying what people wanted to hear, good at playing the part they expected him to play. It was probably what made him such a successful architect. He could build beautiful facades that hid structural problems underneath. The rings, Reverend Martinez asked. Jake's best man, his brother David, stepped forward with the wedding bands, simple platinum circles that represented eternal love and commitment and everything I was helping to destroy. Jake, please repeat after me, Reverend Martinez said. With this ring, I thee wed. With this ring, I thee wed, Jake repeated, sliding the band onto Hannah's finger with hands that didn't shake at all. Hannah? With this ring, I thee wed, Hannah whispered, her voice thick with emotion as she placed Jake's ring on his finger. By the power vested in me by the state of California, Reverend Martinez announced, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Husband and wife. The words echoed in my head like a death sentence. Jake, you may kiss your bride. Jake leaned in and kissed Hannah with what looked like genuine passion. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause, and rose petals, not rice, because Cassie was too classy for rice, began falling like snow. It was done. Hannah was married to a man who'd been cheating on her. Jake was married to a woman he didn't really love. And I was standing there holding the bouquet while pregnant with the groom's baby. My phone buzzed again. Urgent, insistent. Congratulations on the lovely ceremony. Now the real fun begins. Check your email. A friend, I wanted to check the message right then, but the recessional was starting. If you are enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means a lot to us. We are just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video. Jake and Hannah walked back down the aisle hand in hand, beaming like movie stars. while their guests showered them with rose petals and good wishes. I followed with Jake's brother David, trying to smile while my world crumbled around me. The email was burning a hole in my phone, but I couldn't check it until I could get somewhere private. The receiving line was torture. Guest after guest congratulated me on my role in the perfect wedding, telling me how beautiful the ceremony was, how happy the couple looked, how romantic the whole thing was. I smiled and nodded and said all the right things while internally screaming. "Mia!" Hannah's aunt pulled me aside after the line finally ended. "You looked a little green during the ceremony. Are you feeling all right?" "Just emotional," I said, for the 100th time. "Well, make sure you eat something at the reception. You look like you've lost weight." I'm going to gain about 30 pounds over the next 6 months, I thought. And everyone's going to have opinions about that too. Finally, mercifully, I escaped to the house and found an empty bedroom where I could check my phone in private. The email was from an anonymous account, and it contained a single attachment, a video file. I downloaded it with shaking hands and pressed play. It was security footage from Jake's apartment building, showing me leaving this morning at 8:47 a.m. in yesterday's clothes. The timestamp was clear, the image was crisp, and there was absolutely no mistaking what it was. Evidence of an affair. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the second video attached to the same email. This one was from a doctor's office, my doctor's office. It showed me checking in for an appointment 3 days ago, then sitting in the waiting room, then leaving with a packet of prenatal vitamins clearly visible in my hand. Someone had access to security footage from multiple locations. Someone with resources, connections, and a serious grudge against Jake and me. The email itself contained a simple message. The wedding was beautiful. The reception should be even more interesting. See you soon. A friend. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the videos that could destroy 3 lives, and tried to figure out who hated us enough to go to these lengths. My phone rang. Jake calling from somewhere at his own wedding reception. "Did you get the email?" he asked without preamble. I got it. Jesus, Mia. Security footage? How do they have access to security footage? I don't know. But Jake, this is serious. This isn't just someone with a cell phone camera. This is someone with real resources. What do we do? Before I could answer, I heard Hannah's voice in the background. "Jake? Where are you? People are looking for you." "I have to go," Jake whispered. "But Mia." "I know. We'll figure this out." "I know." But we both knew that was probably a lie. I hung up and made my way back to the reception, which was already in full swing. The backyard had been transformed into something from a fairy tale. Round tables with white linens, centerpieces of white roses and greenery, string lights creating a canopy of stars, even though it was still daylight. Hannah and Jake were making the rounds, talking to guests, accepting congratulations, playing the part of the happy couple. From a distance, they looked perfect together, him tall and dark and handsome, her petite and blonde and radiant, the ideal couple living the ideal life. I found my assigned seat at the head table, between Danny and Hannah's sister Maria. Danny took one look at my face and leaned over. "Okay, what's wrong? And don't tell me it's just wedding emotions, because you look like someone died." "Nothing's wrong," I said automatically. "Mia." Danny's voice was serious. "I've known you my whole life. Something is very, very wrong." Before I could deflect again, the DJ announced that dinner was served. The next hour passed in a blur of overpriced food that I couldn't taste and small talk that I couldn't follow. I went through the motions, smiling, nodding, making appropriate responses, while my mind raced through increasingly desperate scenarios. Who was a friend? Someone from Jake's firm who'd discovered the affair? A private investigator hired by a suspicious relative? A former lover with a grudge? Someone from my own life who felt betrayed? The possibilities were endless and terrifying. "Ladies and gentlemen," the DJ announced as dinner ended, "please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Parker to the dance floor for their first dance as husband and wife." The crowd applauded as Jake led Hannah to the center of the dance floor. The opening notes of At Last began to play, the same song Jake had told me was our song during one of our late-night conversations. I watched him spin Hannah around the dance floor, both of them smiling like they didn't have a care in the world, and felt something die inside me. This should have been enough. Watching him be happy should have been enough, even if it wasn't with me. But it wasn't enough, and that made me a terrible person. My phone buzzed with a text. Beautiful first dance. Check under your seat. I reached under my chair and felt something taped to the bottom, a small envelope, sealed with my name written in the same elegant handwriting from the bail money this morning. Inside was a single photograph. Me and Jake in his apartment 3 months ago, the night everything started. We were on his couch, and the image was intimate, private, devastating. Someone had been watching us from the very beginning. On the back of the photo, written in that same handwriting, I know everything. Every lie, every secret, every moment you thought was private. And unless you want Hannah to know everything too, you'll meet me in the gazebo in 10 minutes. Come alone. I looked across the dance floor to where Hannah was laughing at something Jake had whispered in her ear. She looked so happy, so trusting, so completely unaware that her entire world was about to collapse. 10 minutes. I had 10 minutes to decide whether to face my blackmailer or let them destroy Hannah's marriage in front of 200 guests. The gazebo was at the far end of Cassie's property, hidden behind a grove of eucalyptus trees. It was where Hannah and I used to hide as kids when we wanted to escape family gatherings, where we'd shared secrets and dreams and promises to be best friends forever. Now it was where I was going to meet someone who could end everything. I slipped away from the reception while Jake and Hannah continued their dance, moving through the shadows of the garden until I reached the white wooden structure. It was empty, but I could see a figure approaching through the trees. Someone in dark clothing, walking with purpose. As they got closer, I realized 2 things that made my blood run cold. First, I recognized the walk. I'd seen it 1,000 times. Second, they weren't alone. The person stepped into the gazebo, pulling back their hood, and I found myself face to face with the last person I'd expected. "Hello, Mia," they said with a smile that was equal parts sad and terrifying. "I think it's time we had a talk." Behind them, 2 more figures emerged from the shadows. This wasn't just blackmail. This was an intervention. And I was about to discover that everything I thought I knew about my life, my secrets, and my choices had been wrong from the very beginning.